Okay, we're going to go over our last game against UGH. We're going to go over some of the mistakes we made. Um, so, without further ado, let's find my notes. They're very short. Overcommitment. This is a simple one. Um, Overcommitting would be the player is here with the ball, and let's make that a niece. He's the one that did it. The ball's over here, and there is, uh, let's say, and I don't even know why Nice was that far away. That's a whole nother story. But an example would be, let's use Josh instead, even though Josh didn't do this. But like the overcommitting would be just overly aggressive here instead of a containment. Overly aggressive, even as he's coming down. And what you don't want to ever happen is this guy to turn the corner. And could someone tell me why?
And then it'd be a 3 on goal.
Yeah, I mean, we're the whole defense is destabilized. We've lost our superiority. It's too risky to get that close and get beat in from that position on the field. This is what Thorne was yelling about, sort of. That he told us we don't need to stand there and cover like this. So if the guy's out wide, he told us you don't need to stand here. So it's not exactly what you're saying, actually. Like, don't stand here and cover. You can dip in, right? And just be aware of them. But this is what I'm talking about. Similar, where that's not a dangerous position, right? I don't want us diving in or getting too close. I prefer a containment there. And just try to get in the way of a cross. But you can get in the way of a cross without being directly on the guy's ass, right? You just kind of mirror him, and then when he goes to kick, that's when you kind of throw your body out, throw your foot out, but from a distance, from a little bit of a distance, so that he can't fake the cross and then cut on you. As you go up levels, the wingers get a little more shifty. They get a little more, as Thorne would say, cheeky, and they're going to deke it if you're not careful, right? I know Josh knows this because Josh is, he had Josh shut down Gian. I hope this is on recording when we played them this year. And Gian tried all his little tricks, and it just was completely shut down. So that we have to stop this overcommitting from non-dangerous areas, and that could be here. And it's usually when the guy's facing forward. So this would be an instance where we don't want Luke to overcommit. He just contains here. It's different if the ball's here. Luke can get up on his back and not let him turn. But even there, you have to be careful to not try to step through the guy and like kind of get your leg around, because then he can spin off of you, right? What you want to do is you go for the steal when he exposes the ball, is what we teach, right? Wait till he exposes the ball, and then you can take a stab at it. But if you take a stab at it here, when it's here and you take the stab, he can spin around you and go. So you have to, we'll work on that at practice. Now we're going to have people at practice, but this is something we have to be aware of. It's the overcommitting in areas where it's not a shot. Now here, if this player were to receive the ball here, this is a dive-in situation, right? This is a avoid the shoot, as our Spanish coach Gene that we had previously. Luke, I think Luke had him, and I don't know what else. You avoid the shoot. You got to avoid the shot. So now you dive in. Now, like, if you think he's going to shoot, it may be worth it. Depends on the player, right? Maybe if it's good foot, bad foot, you got to kind of know your opposition. But like, this is an instance where no one's going to hang you if you kind of dove in to avoid the shot and then he faked you. You just have to be a good defender at this point. It's not a good situation to be in. It's a tough situation. does that make sense? It's non-threatening situations. We have to stop the diving in. This is non-threatening. This is not a dive in situation. This is a containment situation. If he
Understand.
gets turned, now it's a press situation. But what I prefer is I would prefer Anise to not let him turn and be focused on that and not stealing the ball. And then the press could come from here. Does that make sense? Too many of us are even overcommitting here, and then they spin off. Nice doesn't need to get the steal. Let the pressure come from somewhere else. Okay, from somewhere else. All right, does that make sense? Everybody pretty good on that?
Yep.
Okay.
I had a question about the previous scenario, if I could drive real quick.
Yeah.
T-Ben and I were
Right.
talking about this after the match.
Go ahead.
So I believe the 9 had the ball and he was driving down the center of the pitch, and my guy, the winger, was coming across. And in this situation, I was tasked with, do I stay with the ball? Do I stay with the man? And in this situation, I stay with my man, and T-Ben chewed me out for saying that I shouldn't have done that. I should have instead gone after the ball and done the, the
yeah,
containment.
I understand what you're saying. So we went over this. I don't know if you were at the last tactical or no.
No, I missed last Saturday.
All right. And you were at practice a lot last week, and you might have missed this part. That might have been one of the days you weren't there. If you remember what we talked about, and you might only heard it once at practice, we talk about now the concept of a partial libero. That's the term we're using. Other times you might have heard it as, you have to cover, they'll say you got to do a job and a half. So if this situation came, like as you're traversing, right, and then you come across a more dangerous player, right? At that point, if Marcelo is, we would prefer to even keep Marcelo there, right? So, but yeah, at this point, you'd have to kind of guard him and do a job and a half, which would be kind of like here. I still wouldn't even want you to really step, but we might have to. But I don't know. In this situation, if you step and he's not,
Do you just do a
shooting
cover
great,
shadow? Do you do a cover shadow?
yeah, you would probably have to. You just want to be careful, because if you do, you have to wait till this guy tells you to step, that he has the 7 secure. Because if he came and then this guy played him out here, you know what I mean? So in this situation, the 6 should be telling you what to do, whoever the guy back there is. But the concept is that you cover 2 people. We have a concept that we want to keep a +1 for through balls. So for me, I prefer to keep that structure, right? So I would prefer you to hold here and not step out to the guy right away. Now, I would like to see, this is what I would like to see, only because if you step out, he's 1v1, and I'd like to avoid that. Whereas, if he can hold here and tell you, hold there, and then if he starts to dribble, now you can kind of say, okay, I can now cover both. This is now, you're almost kind of covering both now. Don't commit to the 9 yet. Hold, right? The free man can start to come in, and this is how we keep our free man. Because the free man's job is not that, we always say, we don't want him to step out. We want him to be there for balls through, right? We want to hold, and the whole time we're hoping that Luke recovers or Anise recovers, right?
Yeah, Coach,
So
can
I
I
prefer to not step out unless they're in shooting range. Yeah, go ahead.
like yesterday, right? What I took away from that game yesterday, it's like I don't know exactly how I'll put it, because somehow I feel like some of our players did not know exactly, based on what we want off the tactic, did not know exactly who to mark or what to do at some point, because I think what we should try to figure out is like the formation we play, and then how we like like explore some team, because yesterday it was just like, if you look at the team yesterday, what they did, or there was interchanging like a lot. And then what did they, when they didn't have the ball, when they lose the ball, the guy who lose the ball close the gap, and then everybody will get behind that guy. And then
So,
they did that so well against us that we actually didn't know exactly where to bring the ball, where to play up the ball. So what I'm trying to
so
say,
it's because, yeah, finish.
what I'm trying to say is, I know you want us to mark the man. That's good. We mark the man. If you got a player who know exactly who to mark, like we go, because as you, when you say in the tactic, is making so much sense. I don't know how we can follow it, because as a 6, you're responsible for number 10. Like as an 8, you're responsible for whoever behind that guy. It's like, so it's like common sense to pick up those guys. But if you don't, sometimes I feel like yesterday they were trying to like follow the tactic so bad that they actually got out of control who to mark. And then every time I seen it sometimes, like where the guy, oh yeah, I'm responsible for number 8, and then he doesn't care about anybody else but number 8, and that's
That there was a little bit of that, but the biggest problem, and that they're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to.
right.
That's where the partial libero comes in. Now, here's the thing: they weren't taught the partial libero yet because I didn't want to teach it, and I wasn't calling it even a partial libero. I just knew that, you do have to switch off a guy. It's a term that, I just saw that Bielsa calls it, so I'm using that term. But it's a simple thing where, of course, you have to switch off your man sometimes. But I
Yeah,
knew, and you tell me, I knew that if I told you guys when I first taught you the system that you could leave your man, nobody would have ever fucking followed their man.
Yeah, I know. But like I know exactly. I know that concept. I like the idea is to stay with your man. Like he's like yesterday when he moved Sekou around and then Luke came back, it was a little bit easier for me to actually go down, not overcommit. And then, but like sometimes I feel like, or I don't know exactly if it's our system or if it's our players, we give these teams like the kind of like the few game I play, they have so much space for them to explore. I don't know if you watched the Arsenal game today. It's the same kind of, you have to close down the gap. Like our defense kind of like, if you think about it yesterday, they played the whole game in our half. Like just
So
because
let me show you what happened, and then it's going to make more sense right now what happened. Let me just show you. It's going to be so obvious. It's going to be stupid how obvious it is. Ready? So I'm going to set them up, and now you guys go defend this. Go ahead. You guys defend this. Go ahead. Move the blue pieces.
I can't move anything, but
I'll move it for you.
okay.
You can verbalize anything you think they did wrong. Just everybody move the pieces.
Okay.
Nine's too close. Let me put the 10 just to make it clearer.
Yeah, yesterday was just like giving
Where's
them
the 6
free
at?
space.
This is wrong. Let's just get them all lined up to the proper numbers.
Yeah.
The 5 will be the free man because it's in the middle. I like to think of the 5 as free man. The 4 and the 6 covering the 9 and 10.
9, 10.
So yeah, so I like to think of the 5, 4, 5, 6. The 5 is like the middle guy, and then the 4 and the 6 cover the 9 and 10. So okay, so here's where we went wrong. You ready? This is perfect right now, but what was happening was this guy was here, right? And then let's make it simpler. Because I'll show you who it was. It was this guy, my friend Siku. I love the kid, but what would happen is the ball would get played out. Gian would maybe start to sweep. Nas would have the 6, right? Everything's good. They maybe bounce it back to the keeper, right? And then they play it over here. Gian starts to sweep. Okay. Whoever was the right wing is covering their man. Everything's good. Then this is what happened. And here was Condi.
Yeah, at some point, Sekou thought he was marking number 15 or something. Oh, I don't know if you told him that or anything like that.
Siku was no. T-Ben kept saying it, and I told him, please stop saying it, because if I ever say you're marking like one guy, it's usually just temporary. I'm not saying like the whole fucking game you have. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, please stop saying that, because it's not. I'm telling Siku right now to mark the 8, the positional 8. And it was so obvious what was happening. Like, Joel's on the bench. Joel's a midfielder, right? He's a good player. He saw what was happening. Gion's yelling over to me what's happening, that they're dropping in 2 6s, which really means the 8 is dropping in as a 6, right? Okay. And our guys aren't following him. So what does it? So now Nas has to decide what to do. Okay. And we're fucked. Like, it was all they did was this. And now what? And now Siku's holding, thinking like, oh shit, right? So he's holding, guys dribbling, right? Guys are making runs, right? Dragging our guys out. Okay. You know what I mean? It's a fucking disaster because we're a man down. It was too easy. They gashed it through the middle. This was the rotation they were making. This was it. This was their main rotation. They were doing a few others, but this is all they needed to do. This is all they needed to do to beat us. And it was so simple that we could have stopped it. You saw when we put Luke in, this is exactly what happened. Now later, I make the switch I didn't want to have to make. And so where's the 9 at? Their 9's here. So the 9 is covered, right? Condi has the 10. And now Luke, they start off high. Like I tell you guys do. What do I tell you guys do offensively? The 8 and the 10 should do what? Push up to do what? Check out to do what?
Check back in.
Check back in. UGH was not doing any fucking brainiac stuff. All right, they're doing what I tell you. They checked out and then they checked back in. But the difference was when he checked out, or when he started out, when the goalie had the ball, okay, he started out, ball gets played, or Gion's here, ball gets played, Gian presses, okay. As it's coming back, they probably do this all the time, UGH. They're a good team. They do the things I teach you guys. Some of these guys were also taught. A good 8 will know this. Check out, check back in. The difference was when he did that, this time as Condi saw, Luke was on his back. That was it.
Yeah.
It was that simple.
Yeah,
It was really that simple.
That was so simple, but it was too late for us to just do that because
The game was over at that point. The game was over at that point. It was already 5-0.
We down by 4. I'm like, as soon as I see that, I'm like, I don't know. I sort of question. I was like, how coach didn't recognize this? Like, or maybe because like they play
I
on.
couldn't move you guys. I kept yelling out to Siku, and T-Ben was honestly getting in the way because T-Ben wanted to argue instead of helping me fix the problem.
He saw me yelling at him. I say, just when he switched, when he told him to go, he said no. I said, go back there. Go back there. Coach told you to go. Just go back there. That's why he switched.
Gian said that he was telling Siku to cover him and that he wasn't listening. And then what I always tell Gian is, I know the players are older than you. Keep fucking telling them until they're sick of hearing it. That's my philosophy. And then I'm yell it every time so everybody knows it's his guy.
And Coach
I'm a big believer in embarrassing people. Like people who play with me, they know I'm gonna yell, like, get your fucking man. He's right there. Like, get your goddamn man. Right. Okay. Like, I don't like to lose, but I promised my wife I wouldn't yell too much on the sidelines. So,
Yeah, coach. I need you. What I need us to do is just like we gotta start doing fitness, our practice, because the first 20 minutes in the game, we had a lot of players gassed up. Like, and we can't.
yeah, we definitely need to do fitness, but I
Yeah,
like to do fitness with the ball. So I already talked to Luke about this. Like, I prefer to do it with the ball, but still, like, if you were at the practice where we did the one thing, I mean, it was everybody was tired. Like the
yeah,
last week we had, I started to introduce exercises that were with the ball, but guys were legit gassed. Like Luke had to take the next day off because
yeah.
he was so tired from the practice. Like I can design trainings that will get you guys tactical work, technical work, and physical work without just pure running, which is, I'm a big believer in that. You definitely need to be in shape, but you can't just run because it's not a soccer activity. Like
Yeah, I was
if just running made you good,
right.
I ran in high school. I would have been great soccer player, but it didn't really. It just got me in better shape, but it didn't help me in soccer at all. So we need to be. You guys only have limited amount of energy you can expend during the week. I don't want to expend it with pure running, if that makes sense. But I will get you fit via the
Yeah.
same way Bilsa does, like through that we do like murder ball sessions where we can like up the intensity of.
Yeah, a couple of times we have to start doing. We have to start like getting people behind the ball when we lose it, and then the next, like I was telling the guy yesterday, I said, guy, this is common sense. The guy closest to the ball, when we close it, the guy closest to the ball is dictate us. Just lock the ball down. We all behind you. We follow you. Because yesterday they did that so well. When they did lose the ball, they just lock us down. It was so
But
hard.
here's what happened,
to
Condi.
get out.
This is also why we got. Let me go back to why we got tired though for a second. This is why we got tired. So the ball gets played here. Okay. Seeger's holding. And now they all start going. And now Nas is a completely different player now. Nas would track their guy all the way to fuck back. You know what I mean? If this guy played down and then this guy maybe rotated out, right? And now he became the 6, right? Because Nas shouldn't have had to make that run. You understand? Right. And now Luke, several times, now Siku's covering nothing, so it was Siku at this point, right? He's covering nobody, right? Literally nobody. Okay? He's covering AstroTurf, right? And then this guy's making a run, and now we are winger AstroTurf. It was unnecessary running because they broke our defense down. And yeah, we're going to be exhausted if they're gashing us and we have to do all these recovery runs.
Right.
We're exhausted. We lost that game. It's why, we have to have these tacticals. We have to now force people to show up to them, or at least one of the two, and they got to get a training. Or this will happen again, but we're not going to let it happen anymore.
I like playing with those kind of teams because they like you learn a lot from them as a team, as a brand new team. You learn a lot from playing with those kind of teams. However, I also don't want to lose in the kind of manner that we lost yesterday. And then it's like it affected me a lot. I'm not gonna lie, it affected me a lot. Like I'm a type of player which I don't like losing, and then if I lose, I want to make sure we left everything there. Yeah, we deserved like that loss, but like yesterday.
So this is what happens, Condi, against a team that does, for example, the check out and check in, right?
Yeah.
If this is a bad team, right? This guy plays like a normal 8 and Siku's here, right? And they never beat us. They play the ball back. This guy gets the ball. Gian presses. This guy, which is the bad teams, usually end up doing this to us. And then Gion's just chasing them from behind, right? And then he makes like Inter would just say make a desperate play, into the, 11, and we would cover them, right? But this was a good team, so they have that little bit extra of tactical knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So they punished us for not running. I mean, even if this was another system and not man-to-man, if this was Atletico, I will actually show you Atletico now. If this was which Atletico is a typical zonal system, right? I'll do the exact same thing. Exact same thing. The ball's at the goalie. This is how you'd set up an Atletico. We would get squared up. Okay. This is how we would set up an Atletico's defense. Ball gets played out. This guy comes from here and goes at a diagonal. Okay. Condi would come up, right, and take away this lane. Not to mark anybody. Sika would drop. The 9 drops, cover to 6. So it's like this. See this slant? Okay. This guy tucks in. Okay. Alex tucks into the midfield line. So now there's no pass. Josh steps up. Look at this. There's no pass. But we are giving this up. Okay. If this plays, Alex comes out. Okay. Tries to play down. We pin him. All right. But now I'm going to show you the part that I want to show you on why the midfield would be covered. And Siku was doing the wrong thing no matter what fucking system you would play. This is the exact opposite system. And I get Atletico type of mid-block zone. This is why it was just terrible what we did. So the ball, let's go back again. So we'd start off in a box, 4-4-2 box, right? Like this.
Yeah.
Okay. In a zonal system, ball gets played out. We take the diagonal from the 6 to take the cover shadow. The 9 comes into double cover to 6. So now not only do we have a cover shadow on him, he's man covered, right? But like within a zone. Okay. Condi steps up because if the 10 steps up, Condi steps up, right? The 9 drops back, or the guy on the right side drops back, Siku drops back. You mirror the forward in front of you, the 2 center midfielders, right? So now the ball gets played across. He comes back. He comes out. Siku, this guy goes to check in. Siku does what? Mirrors the 9. Condi drops back. That's Atletico. See, the problem with Siku was he wasn't running anything. Nothing. And that will work against bad teams because Siku is a really good player. So you can go out there and just fuck off and you'll beat bad teams or even teams that are just as good as Siku or maybe even a little better times. But you will not beat an organized team when you just show up and say fuck off, and especially since their players were better than ours.
Yeah, the first goal, I took full responsibility for the first goal because what happened was the guy was driving the ball. He was driving. I keep yelling, stop the play. And it was just me being undisciplined, just losing my mark and stop the play. And what he did, he actually took a 2-touch. As soon as he saw me just like coming to him to stop the play, he just played the ball to 9. And then right there, it was just a goal. So that first goal, I said,
yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, Condi, we let up 6 goals. So I'm not going to sit here. What I try to do is in a game like this, I try to pick out the 3 or so many, 2, 3, 4 biggest things that if we fix, we can make the most improvement. And so one is lunging, right? Like that was the first thing I brought up. The second is our specifically our center mid, which is the toughest position. The 8 on our team has a very difficult job because a good 8 on the other team is going to be, why do they call the 8 the box-to-box midfielder? Because they go box-to-box. They're going to be running around a lot. Right. They're going to be dropping in and rotating with other players. So if you don't have another active 8 to counteract that, you're fucked. And we didn't. We basically, Siku was playing more like a 6, and you were already playing a 6. I don't want to kill Siku here because he's a good player, but this is why we have to show up the tacticals. You know what I mean? And if Siku shows up, he'll do a great job with it, and we're gonna fix it. All right. So So does everybody at least understand that these problems were like, these were easily fixable?
Fixable.
Yep.
Like that's what I
Yeah.
was like.
I would say 2 goals were let up by lunging that are easily fixable. Like Marcelo said after the game, that's a fundamental. It's not even a tactic. It's a fundamental. Like don't lunge in areas that aren't dangerous. So I'd say 2 of the goals were just because we were over aggressive. And then at least 2 to maybe more of the goals and were due to, I can attribute at least two of the goals to the fact that we let their 8 run wild and left them completely unmarked. So now
We
if
just
you,
gotta be.
you get
We
it down
got
to there, if you get it down to there, it's 2-0.
right.
And now I'm going to tell you the other part, which we didn't do. So now I'm going to show you again to where we can get it where maybe we don't score, but this is the part where we might actually score. And we didn't.
Right.
So let me show you the next thing I want to go over. So everybody's set up in defense, please. Let's say, like Condi said, they're in our zone, right? So everybody's set up in defense, please. And I'll show you the next problem. Or better yet, let's play out of the back. So Thorne has the kick. Everybody play out of the back. So it's a 6 kick. And this is what I went over tactical, and we didn't do it. But I don't expect everything to be done perfectly right away. Okay. Number 1, and Luke, you can answer this. Where should we be set up on a Thorne kick? At the halfway line or deeper if we can? Exactly.
Yeah,
We
probably.
cannot get. We can't just give it. There's no offsides, so that's going to force them back. So that's the first mistake. But even if we did, right, and now Thorny realizes that's still like almost 70 yards away, right? So Thorny is going to, let's say he plays out, right? Okay. Now let's say what they were doing, let's say after a fashion, they move up. And now you have to move up, right? So move your pieces where you want to move them. Got to move all the pieces. You can move them anywhere you want. Just move where you would be. I'll let you move anywhere you want. Alex, you're off sides. You can be off. You're not off sides if it's a goal kick, but you are off sides once it's in play.
Somebody
Okay.
move me on number 10, please. This is a kickoff from the goalkeeper.
No, right now our 4 has the ball.
Oh,
Tim?
4 has. Okay. Yeah, I'm good where I'm at. If we had the ball.
Yeah, well, because there's only one play right now, and this is what we didn't do. We talked about this, and I'll continue to talk about it until we do it. So this is another place we lost the game. This is responsible for around 2 goals as well. And this cost us goals because there's only one play here, and it's not to the 3. All right, or it could be, if it's to the 3, then the ball immediately has to be played over. I ask again, where is the space? Where's the most valuable space right now? The most valuable open space to play into.
Behind the back line. Back line. Behind the back line. If the guy make the run, coach, you that's easy. You can play the ball back the line. But yesterday he's just like, I'm like, there's no movement.
So listen, let me tell you something. Everybody keeps saying this, and we have to stop saying it. You do not wait for the run. The run is a bonus. If they make the run, it's lights out. But we have to stop with people saying that they're not playing the ball because there's no run. The ball has to be played. Every professional would play the ball. The ball's played. You cannot, if a team, there's okay, this is a fact. When you play a high line like that, there's no tactical system in the world that you play a high line like that, like the Reds playing right now, and you don't press. There's no tactical system in the world. UGH, we gave UGH all this credit, and they beat us. But they are naive because they played a high line and they did not press. I've read countless tactical books. There's not one system that does that. You cannot play a high line and not press. Someone tell me why? Why is that so dangerous? Why is that not a thing? Anybody know?
You give the opposing team too much time to play the ball over top.
It's like in the NFL, like, just trying to stop lining up to kind of stop the run, but not like going after the quarterback. And you're just like leaving your safety, like, with, no help. Like when you blitz, this is equivalent, this is equivalent of a blitz, but then not getting to what do they call cover zero in the NFL, which means there's no safety help. So you go, if it's cover zero, you have no safety help. You have extra guys to blitz with. But if you're going to blitz, you got to get home, as they say in the NFL. You got to get home. I don't know if you guys know NFL as well, but like football, American football, you got to get home, or you're going to get burnt deep. This is what they're doing. They're playing cover zero. They have no help in the back, right? They're leaving lots of space in the back, and they're not pressuring our quarterback, which is they never pressured us. They didn't have a press. Does anybody remember them pressing? They didn't press.
They didn't press because we never played it long. We were always trying to pass it in our third.
And what Condi said earlier, they spent a lot of the game here. So if they spent a lot of the game here, that's our own damn fault, right? We could have gotten out of there easily. And we went over it, and I'll keep saying it. I get it. I've coached other teams where it takes time for this light bulb to go off. Usually it starts with like, oh, but nobody's making a run. And we have to get out of that mindset that the run is a bonus, but there's really not many. I mean, where's the only run 11 can make right now? And what can you do? Can't run forward, right? Yeah, you can only do that. And so that's like, I would say that's a bonus.
You can run behind the two.
Nobody can't run before the ball's played. You understand?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He'll be offside. Yeah. So this ball and you guys as leaders, and especially being further back on the pitch, you need to be screaming bloody murder when it's not played. Like this ball has to be played. Right. And let me tell you something. If we play this ball and the 11 doesn't immediately run or isn't ready to run, you don't think that that's going to be the next tactical meeting? Of course it is, right? But right now, I'm not blaming the forwards yet. I'm not. I'm blaming us not getting it out because that's where the space is. And it's amazing that you guys, I said this last tactical, it's amazing that you guys aren't turning the fucking ball over more. Look at this. And that's the other thing. What's happening is this guy's holding on to the ball. He's yelling to our 8, why aren't you checking in? What the fuck do you want him to do? Right? Where are you going to check into? And not be surrounded. Right? Agreed or not agreed?
Yeah, because this you check in to find space, but all the space is on the other side of the field.
What he should be doing is making a run. Instead of going this way, he should be running, and then you should just be bombing it, and now we have the 8 and the 11.
Yeah, just you do that until you get in their end, and then that doesn't become an option anymore.
You send this ball into the corner, and Thorne was yelling it to you. I think Luke said Thorne was yelling, just dump the ball in the corner, right? Then what happens is we're chasing him down, and you've seen pro games. What do they have to do? Kick it where? Just kick it out of bounds. And now what can we do? See it? Now where are we? You dig?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
who's in whose zone? Different game, isn't it? Not that hard. Like, this is why we do tacticals, and we have to get better tactically as a team as well. Like, we can beat these teams. Like, they're not that much better than us physically, right? We can outsmart them. Even the teams that are physically better than us right now. And we're going to train and get physically better and get more technically better and everything like that. But we can beat these teams that are better than us with intelligence.
I just want us to start pressing as a team. Like the guys up front. I played a little bit of forward back in college. Like I swear, coach would tell me exactly have to cut the back line, and the whole team will follow you. And then that team you playing against them, they only have one option. They can either like play long ball, or they just like fumble it.
Yeah.
But like yesterday, just we had no option. How?
Well, no, because the reason the press didn't work yesterday was because the 8 was providing an easy pass.
Yeah.
That happened the entire game and it even happened when we put Luke in, because then we had Thorne in, and Thorne's a keeper, and Thorne doesn't know our system, right? I'm not blaming the guy, right? So what Thorne was doing then is, so now we're pressing. Where are they at? It's, let me set them up like here. And you guys set up. I'll give them the ball. You guys set up for me. I'll show you what the. So it was like, then we had to make the switch because the guys were getting hurt, right? So I'll move everything and I'll show you what was happening. We couldn't win with this. Remember we had to take Nas out of the game.
Yeah.
So for a brief moment, we might have had. I don't even think did we ever even have Luke and Nas in at the same time? Maybe for a brief moment, right?
Yeah.
And then what's that?
What happened to Nas?
He got hurt.
Okay.
He got kicked. So check it out. So here's what ended up happening. So here's their 6. So let's make it Luke. So now it's Luke. Condi's still there, right? This is probably what was this Gian at the time? So what's happening is, Gian might be, say the ball gets played, so Gian goes to press it, right? Thorne was standing here, right? So this guy's checking in, and things like this were happening. So now everybody's covered, right? Can we agree that everybody's covered except for who? Condi, you should be here. If there's 10s here, you should be here, right?
Yeah.
So Freeman, everything's good, right? What's the problem? Thorne was following the other center back. So what would happen? Gian would come out to press, and they would just do this. Nas, we've taught Nas to cover the 10, right? I would cover this opposing 6. But then Thorne kind of like thought was over pressing, thought like, oh, let me just like follow the ball, right? You follow me? So he wasn't marking anyone. He was more in a zone area, right? Now that wouldn't have normally been a problem in systems that Thorne has played before, because watch. Let's say they start like this, the ball gets played out, right? Then Thorny would stay here, Gian would go like this, and when the ball got played, Thorne would be allowed to do this because Gian would do this. You see what I'm saying? Thorne's not used to our system. So when the ball gets played like this in our system, right? When the ball gets played here, Gian leaves the 6 and he cuts the lane He takes this cover shadow. He takes this passing lane. So Thorne's not supposed to also go. If he does, we get split. You see it? He's supposed to cover the 6. It's why in our system, if in any system, it could be a zone. I mean, think about a zone. If you're playing a 4-4-2 zone and one of your players is not in their zone, what's going to happen? You're fucked, right? I mean, it's the same thing with a more man-oriented scheme. If someone's not doing their job, there's a hole in the system. And bad teams won't exploit it, but good teams will. We have to be, we learned a lot, right? We now have 3 big things that we need to fix. You lunge at a bad team, you probably win the tackle. You lunge at a good team, you get deep, we get scored on. You don't play the ball over the top when you're supposed to where the space is against a bad team, you probably can play out through them anyway, even though they're all in our zone. We have quality enough players to beat a Casa team just by like playing out without playing over the top, right? But you do that against a good team, they're better defensively. You're gonna turn the ball over to them. You don't mark a good player, he receives, he's gonna do something to hurt you. You don't mark a bad player, he probably takes 3-4 touches, right, before he passes the ball, and you can recover. This is why we want to play good teams, though, because they're going to expose what we need to get better at. Everybody good? Because I don't want to keep you too long. Any other questions? The partial libero is the thing I think a lot of you guys were wondering about, that you don't follow your guy now if there's a more dangerous player. It's the simplest way to do it. And we're going to work on it at training. But you cover 2 guys, And we're going to go over a little bit more pressing. There's more nuances to this press. We're going to go over more of that. But like, for example, if let's say Luke got caught back here for some reason, right? Or over here, right? At this point, and Gian didn't recognize it and pressed anyway. He's supposed to hold if he sees it. Let's say he accidentally presses, right? At this point, the 10 should not just cover the 6 like this, right? What does he have to do? He becomes what we call a partial libero, and he covers. Partial libero means you're not you're still covering your man, but you're partially a free man. So you do this. This would be better, right? If you do this, he plays here, and we're dead, right? If you do this, he plays here, and we're dead, right? So it's a 2v1 situation. What you do is you partially liberate yourself. So now if he plays here, you can do this. If he plays back, you can do this. Plays back again, you can do this. By the time they do that, where's Luke at? He's back. We're good, right? This is the next. We went over this is the last tactical, but not everybody was there, and that's why we want to fix this. But so these are all the issues we had are like fixable as long as we understand what they were, and we do. So we're gonna fix them. I'm not worried about our talent level. If our talent level gets better, that's a fucking bonus to me. I'm happy with our talent, to be honest. I'm not the kind of coach that just like constantly seeks out like, let's get better players. Let's just get better players. Like, I'm like, no, I want to teach the players who are dedicated that I have. I want to make them better. And we have a team more than capable of beating that team. So, all right, boys, thank you for being here. And we've got good things coming. Spread the word. This starts the first. I'm counting this as attendance. And so if someone falls short this week, they got to make up for it next week.
Wait, what game we have on Sunday again?
I'm going to stop recording so we can. And anybody can leave, obviously, if they want it. You could have left already because I know I went extra time. I'm sorry.